I'm Scotty J. You are watching Rock Titan Music Television, and I have got a phenomenal guest with us today. All you bass players out there and lovers of bass players, your heads are going to explode. I have got the Fretless Monster with us, Tony Franklin. How are you, sir?
Hi.
Yes.
Putting my hand up like that because the light in here is, I can see it goes, I go into this ghostly figure. Truly, though, I'm just blessing everybody. That's what it is.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Well, thank you so much.
See how it goes like that?
Yeah, you're giving me the Heisman. You're actually saying, Scott, talk to the hand, you know? It's all good. It's all good. But, yeah, Tony.
Fine. I'll do the peace sign sometimes. There we go. We'll mix it up.
Right on. But thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. You've got a lot of exciting stuff going on right now. And I guess one of the things, most recently, because we've spoken with Carmine Appice not too long ago, and I know you guys have a history together, and you're featured on the reissue of Guitar Zeus. And that just came out a few days ago. How cool is that?
Well, some people may not know what Guitar Zeus is because it was actually recorded over 20 years ago and didn't get much, I don't know if it was even released in the US. It was mostly overseas. But it's this treasure trove of great name guitarists that are on there. You've got Brian May, you've got Slash, you've got, who else is on there? Goodness me, there's
It's a who's who. I know Bruce Kulick is on there. And
yeah.
Man. Slash.
Pennick, Slash, and all sorts of players. And so Carmine had this concept to do this thing with all these different, with a core band, which was myself, Carmine, and Kelly Keeling, all of which are former Blue Murder alumni.
Right on.
Was on the second album. And this was, I forget when it was recorded, it could have been 95 and 96. So we were still, Carmine and I were on fire. I mean, there's some, so that's the core band, and then you have all these different, Paul Gilbert, he's on there too. I'll keep remembering as we go along.
Yeah.
And so we had this core band, and we rehearsed the songs up in the studio, and everything was live, and then they put on all these great names. Like Edgar Winter's on there too. And so it's just a phenomenal vibe. And the wonderful thing about it, even though it's 20 years old, it sounds like a lot. It sounds so fresh and alive, and it's really aggressive, and it's like it almost sounds like Blue Murder Mark II. It really does. So it's there's quite a vibe happening there. So I'm really happy that this is going to get some attention and hopefully some more fans for it, because it's phenomenal. And Carmine's talking about touring with it and doing what we can do, maybe get a couple of 2 or 3 great names on there and do some days with it. We'll see. You know, there's always a lot of possibilities, but things take planning, they take realistic budgeting and all that stuff. That's the challenge of these days.
Right. Well, I know that Carmine himself said that you are his favorite bass player, and
he's often said that, and he's told me that he tells people that he says that too. You know how Carmine is, but it's wonderful because he and I mean, from the day one that we met, which goes back to 1987. That's when I first met him.
Okay. And
it's pretty funny, really, because we were up in Blackpool, England, and look it up on the map where that is, because Blackpool, England is a phenomenal hub for me.
Okay, all right.
And yeah, it's this small little town in the north west of England, right on the coast, which is almost it's almost a central point for where Scotland, Ireland, England, and Wales all intersect. It's a working men's holiday site, and it's kind of cheesy. There's the Blackpool Tower. They have ballroom dancing there, and there's all the illuminations, and there's all these rides and cheap fairground type food, and it's phenomenal because I met so many people there. I met Jimmy Page there when I was working with Roy Harper in 1984. We were working on Whatever Happened to Jugular, which was Roy's album that we were working on.
Okay. Now, is that how the firm came to be when you met Jimmy Page out there?
Start of it, yeah, because from there we did the album. We were just hanging and having fun. It was very relaxed. There was no like, oh, this is Jimmy Page. No, he was the guitarist. I was the bass player. Roy Harper was the singer, working on Roy's album. And funnily enough, the keyboard player / engineer on that was also a guy called Nick Green, who ended up being Blue Murder's keyboard player. Rest in peace, Nick. He's no longer with us, sadly. But that's where I met him too. And then I went on to meet Cozy Powell there, because he was the one that called me to see if I'd be interested in working with John Sykes. So I met John Sykes there. I met Carmine in Blackpool and a bunch of other drummers, Ainsley Dunbar, all these people that came to this little small town of Blackpool. Who would have ever thought? Ray Gillan, he was there too. I mean, it's like, it was crazy.
You just never know. You never know.
So, John was living there at the time, and so that's it. Kind of all, that was the hub. It was crazy. Well, anyway, in 1987, we were looking for a drummer because Cozy had gone on his way, and so Carmine had got wind of it, and he literally came over and drove up from London to Blackpool, and he arrived there about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was staying at some bed and breakfast, but a little grander than that. It was almost like a country house, and so it was quite nice for Blackpool anyway. And so he arrives at 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, "Hey mate, you want a drink?" I said, "Well, it's 2 o'clock in the morning." So, "Oh, no worries, I'll open up the bar." So I took my room key and slid it underneath the door of the bar and let ourselves in and poured ourselves a drink. And we got along famously. It was like we'd known each other forever. And then we got in the studio and played. And it was instant magic, It's always been there from day one. We just had that vibe, that chemistry, and it still continues to this day with Carmine and I. It's pretty cool.
That's an awesome story, Tony. That really is. Now, I mean, you've had so many collaborations over the years. You've played with so many incredible artists. I mean, it's the list is endless. But would it be safe to say that Carmine's your favorite drummer then? No, I'm putting you on the spot. Obviously, you've played with a lot of amazing drummers. One thing I want to ask you, though, just since
I love Carmine, and he's definitely one of my favorites. Yeah, absolutely.
Right on.
No, I mean, it's hard to choose when you go between Chris Slade of the Firm and Greg Bisson and Jason Bonham and all these amazing players that all bring something different. Right. Terry Bozzio, I mean, all these different, Vinnie Caliusa. I mean, I could go on. I've been very, very fortunate to play with some phenomenal drummers, and they're all amazing. How do you pick a favorite,
Right, right. Well, Carmine did, but yeah, no, I mean, like you said, I mean, it really is amazing. The experience that you've had is absolutely incredible. Just really fast, I got to ask you, just because of your relationship with Jimmy Page and the fact that you were in the Firm, is there any chance that there might be a revival of that at any point? Has that ever been something that you've talked about with the guys over the years? Like, hey, let's do something.
It was talked about, and it almost happened, but then Led Zeppelin did that gig at the O2 Arena, and so they kind of got a little distracted by that. Never really got going since then. Whether it does or not, I truly don't know. I mean, I personally think it would be really, really cool because, now everybody's in a new place. I mean, Jimmy and myself have never actually been in each other's company where we were both clean and clear-headed. Everybody in a wild space, so that would be really nice. But also, in the Firm days, they would not touch any of the Led Zeppelin material, Badco or Freer. They wanted it to stand by itself, which was really cool. It was a good thing, too, because I didn't know any Led Zeppelin at that point. Yeah. So I know it all now, but that's a long story unto itself. But to be able to, now I think that we could do, as well as doing the Firm material, we could do Led Zeppelin, we could do Badco, and I think Paul Rodgers would do a phenomenal job on the Zeppelin stuff.
Yeah, and I know he was just touring this past summer with Ann Wilson and some other folks. Yeah.
Heck yeah, he did it with them. So
Right.
Yeah, and so I mean, Paul's very, very busy, and he's very happy with his career at this point.
Sure.
You know, he's got a lot of stuff going on, and he's. I don't know if people would want to do it. I mean, I personally think it would be very cool, and it's the only bands that those two guys were in where, bless them, all the original members are still with us.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So,
this needs to happen. Tony, this needs to happen.
And I tell you what, you know, people think of the firm sometimes and they think of it, you know, it was a super group kind of thing, but it was a real chemistry that band had. And, you know, it all happened. People ask me, how did you get involved with that? It was just very organic. I mean, I was not immediately, just because I worked with Jimmy, I was not immediately welcomed into the ranks of the firm. I had to go through, I call it my extended audition, which really, it didn't feel like an audition. It was more like it was just hanging and playing, and they were working on the material for the first album.
Gotcha.
And, you know, and it was, because it wasn't even so much about the playing, it's just to see if I could hang and you know, if the vibe was right.
Right.
And the nice thing about it was, though, by the time we were done with that process, probably 6 or so weeks, we were so tight, we went in to do the album, everything was first or second takes.
Oh, wow.
Including the vocals. Now, the vocals were intended originally to be guide vocals, right? We were all in the same room. Paul Rodgers wasn't even in an isolated booth. He had some baffles in front of him. He was on an SM57 mic, which, to those who don't know, is probably the standard live microphone. It gets used for vocals, for snare drums, for guitar amps and everything, but it's not a high quality studio amp. You really wouldn't use it in the studio. You might for certain things, but the vocals, you know, you want to use a $5,000 mic or whatever it is, a tube thing, as opposed to a $100 SM57, which he was recording on, and it was so good that they kept it. I mean, most of those takes are live takes on a cheap microphone, and Paul Rodgers just nailed it. And I told him, I said, I don't think I've ever heard him hit a bad note. And he's so phenomenal, and I think he's getting better with time. So,
like a fine wine, as are you, sir.
Well, thank you.
Seriously, but you know what? It's funny, Tony, that you're talking about like this equipment that maybe not a lot of the audience knows about. And with that, you know, I think it's a real nice segue into the fact that here you are going to NAMM, you know, just a couple days from now. That's where you're going to be. And I guess you're going to be out there with a couple of your fretless basses that I see in the background there. You're going to be representing Fender?
Well, I always pay a visit to Fender. I'm not doing anything official with them.
Okay.
I know so many of the people at Fender, and they're beyond just my company. They're friends. We go back a long, long way. I mean, I've known Fender way before the signature bass. I mean, go back to the early 90s, I guess.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I have a great friendship with them. So I typically go and hang at the Fender booth a lot because I have this theory at NAMM. Because, you know, for those who may not know, NAMM is a zoo. Okay, so you get all the music merchants. I think it's the National Association of Music Merchants. That's what it stands for.
Right.
It was originally designed for all the dealers and the merchants to see what the companies are introducing new that year, and they will buy their stock for the year or for the next few months and get special NAMM discounts and all that stuff.
Oh, wow, that was good. That was good. That sounded like a real promo voice right there. That was good.
Hey, turn it on when you have to, right?
Yeah.
But since then, it's turned into a lot of artists making appearances, and that draws in the fans. And somehow, it's not really for fans, but somehow the fans have managed to find a way in. And NAMM doesn't mind because it brings a lot of traffic there and everything. So I have this theory that if I was to stay in one place for a few hours, then I would see everybody that I needed to, rather than walk around, you know, and everything. So I did that last year, part of it was by design, and part of it was the fact that I couldn't get away from the spot. Because I saw all sorts of people, and so it's cool. I love it. It's exhausting. You have to really pace yourself. I go outside and do some deep breathing and get myself recentered and focused. That's right. Yeah, I get in the zone. Anybody who follows me on social media will know that I like to meditate and all that stuff. So I do a little deep yoga breathing and zone out for a few minutes, and then I'm all recharged back for NAMM again.
Right. Now, are you going to be performing out there at all? Are you going to be playing?
I'm going to be jamming on Saturday night at the Ultimate Jam Night, which is a very well-organized thing. It's at the Hilton in one of the rooms.
Very cool.
I'm jamming with Carmine, so that's going to be cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, Steve Vai, there's a whole bunch of different players. I think most of the players from the David Lee Roth band, Greg Bissonette and Billy Sheehan are going to be there. There's a whole list. So it should be a fun thing. So.
Now, are there any particular friends of yours that you already have like arrangements with that you're going to be catching up with, you're looking forward to seeing that maybe you haven't seen in a while?
Nothing too specific.
Okay, all right.
Oh, Mr. Sykes and I are definitely going to be saying hello.
Oh, nice.
About that.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Well,
as in Mr. John Sykes, that is.
The one and only John Sykes. Yes, of course. Yeah, now I know what you're talking about. You know, we're staying in the blue murder, mind of things, Yes. Of course.
Around. In fact, I think he's presenting an award at the Metal Gods, or whatever it is, the Metal Award show on Wednesday night. I won't be at that, but he's receiving an award for Bob Daisley. Bob asked him to accept it for him. I believe Bob's in Australia or something. I'm not exactly sure the backstory, but John, who typically doesn't like those things, he stays away from them, is going to be there and accepting the award for Bob, his good friend, and John recently appeared on a Gary Moore tribute album that Bob had put together, so he did a phenomenal job. You should look for that one if you haven't heard it out there.
Okay. Right on. Well, I know your time is sensitive and you got to get going here shortly, but one thing I want to talk about, because I know you got a number of different projects going on and some new material that's going to be coming out soon, but Joel Hoekstra, you worked on an album with him previously, but you're working on some new material with him right now as well, yeah?
Yeah, I'm recording bass on that. It's all Joel's material. He writes everything, but he very much allows me to do my thing. And Vinny Appice is playing drums.
Oh, cool.
And who played on the previous album as well. And it's great stuff. Joel and I just get along great. We're great pals. We had a side project with a drummer called Todd Vinny Vinciguerra called VHF.
Okay.
And so that was all kind of interesting the way that was put together. It was all drums first and then wide open to me. And so I did my thing and then Joel did his thing. And it was very trippy and experimental and it was very, very cool. So, yeah, Joel and I get along great. And so, that's going well. I'm almost done with my parts now on his solo album.
Nice. Now, one of the things I think that's really cool about you too, Tony, I mean, and there are plenty of things that are very cool about the Fretless Monster, but you are so involved with social media. I think that's really cool. Like I go out there to your Facebook page, Twitter, and there you are putting out your videos. You're just jamming, you're just jamming away. How cool has it been, since the birth of social media, where it's just been so much easier for you as a musician and an artist to share your art, to share your skills with your fans and just the public at large?
It's really cool. Yeah, I mean, we have to accept the fact that the business has changed and will not go back to what it was, because in a lot of ways it was easier before. Well, I guess if you had that lucky break, because before it was, you made an album and hopefully get with a good band that you believe in, and you put a record out, and then it gets played on radio. Remember that? And then you go on tour, and that was really it. You'd go around the radio stations, which was so much fun. In the Blue Murder days, we used to walk in the radio stations with me playing on the clarinet, John on the acoustic guitar, Carmine banging on a pair of sticks, and we'd be playing all this kind of bizarre traditional jazz music, walking into the radio station, and people would be like, it's like the Pied Piper had walked in or something.
Right.
It was fun. That's kind of gone away. But the thing about social media is that everybody has it. Right. And so you really have to be so diverse these days, and that's why I am actively involved in social media, because it is a great vehicle, and I do have a lot I'd love to share musically and thoughts and opportunities like this yourself. It's great to be able to reach out. So I'm very much one of those that likes to try and embrace what it is today. We're always catching up, and I have so many things and ideas and things I still want to get done. And so, social media is very much a part of it. I like to be involved, and I get some incredible feedback, and I appreciate it all. And I try to, give real responses to people. And there's nobody else administering my stuff; it's all me.
Okay.
So what you see out there is really me, and so I love that aspect of it.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to share all your social media links and website, fretlessmonster.com, and we'll get all that out there to make sure everyone can go out there and check out your happenings and everything you've got going on. Very cool.
Yeah, everything pretty much under Fretless Monster, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and I think even YouTube as well. On YouTube, I'm starting to build up. It's a slow process with that, but it's everything. Is that these days you have to think long term, put the time into it, find something that you really believe in, and then just keep building it. There's no shortcuts for it, but that's okay. That's all right.
Right on.
I do say one last thing. John, there's been a lot of speculation about what John Sykes has been up to and everything, and is he ever going to release his album, get Blue Murder back together, all that stuff?
That would be huge, yes.
Yeah. And that probably will not happen, the last thing, because, well, not for any negative reasons. We actually almost came very close to doing it. We were going to talk this time last year, and then Carmine, unfortunately, had some big health challenges. We almost lost him, but he's doing fine now. I mean, he's back playing gigs and touring and everything. But he was caught overseas, and that was part of the challenge. And so he no longer wants to travel overseas into Europe because they weren't able to help him, and it was touch and go.
Okay.
So, understandably, I think wisely, he's not going to travel outside the US. He's still got plenty of work that he's doing. He's touring with the Rascals. He does his Vanilla Fudge stuff, his Drum Wars thing. So he's plenty busy. And then also, John wants to do more than just Blue Murder. He wants to play some of his amazing catalog.
Right on.
Whitesnake, Blue Murder, of course, and he has a new album which is coming out this year. And so we have put together a new band. And we shall be making some headway with that pretty soon.
Well, do we have a name for this band?
No, we don't. It might be just under John's name.
Okay, all right. Wow, that's huge. We always welcome the breaking news here, Tony. I'm glad you brought that up because I would not have thought of bringing that up. You're the man.
Well, everybody seems to ask me. Come on, Scott. Everybody seems to ask me. What's happening with John Sykes? Is he ever going to put his album out? What about Blue Murder? Everybody asks me that.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to stay away from everything that you're constantly getting harassed by, I mean, we could have talked about the fretless bass all day long, I intentionally didn't talk about, all the nuances of being a fretless bass player and your passion for it and the history. And, of course, you must have started playing basses that had frets. And, I left all of that alone. I tried to go in some areas where, people may not necessarily know what's going on,
Sure. Although I do like talking about the fretless bass because I do have a lot of passion passion for it. Yes, I started on the fretted. Then here's the short version. All right, the short version is I started on the fretted bass when I was 11 years old. Took to it instantly. I was doing gigs 3 days later on it. Heard Jaco Pastorius when I was about 17. He's a phenomenal jazz rock bass player. Changed my life. Wanted to get a fretless bass, and then just slowly started incorporating it into rock. And I didn't think of it. Oh, rock and fretless. It's not really done, is it? I just played it because it was the bass, and it just happened to work. It was one of those nice, happy accidents. And so installed the extra pickup in there in 1983 because I wanted to sound like Jaco and get all those harmonics. And then that's where the sound came from. And so, fast forward, it's become one of my signature things, the fretless bass. And I just put a post up this morning about my True Fire course, because I released a course last year that is a fretless bass instructional course, and so I'm getting some great feedback on that. It's really helping people, which I put a lot of time and energy and thought into it so that people can get practical guidance on how to improve themselves or even start learning or transition from the fretted to the fretless. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool. Well, you just summed up your entire bass career like an auctioneer. That was amazing. I mean, talk about, encapsulating such a wide career, and like 2 minutes.
1 minute elevator speech, isn't it?
That was excellent, excellent. Well, Tony, thank you so much again for your time. And again, everyone, we are here with the legendary Tony Franklin, Fretless Monster. Yes.
Guys, if any of you follow me on social media, it's really me, and I really enjoy all the interaction. Fretlessmonster.com, Twitter /Tony, Fretless Monster, Instagram /FretlessMonster, blah, blah, blah.
Awesome. Well, Tony, thank you so much again.
Opportunity, and we'll catch up at some point. Maybe we'll do a post-NAM check-in.
A post-NAM check-in, and before this new project comes out with Mr. John Sykes, we got to check in, and we got to cover that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
right.
We'll definitely do that.
Right on.
Cool.
Everybody, Scotty J. Rock Titan TV here with Tony Franklin. We're out.